Hello.
Hey.
It's been about a week since some bad things happened.
Wasn't the best weekend.
Wasn't the best
Wasn't
weekend.
the best.
Did about half the events I wanted to do.
Not even the ones you liked.
No, I got to do 6 events, which was fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to do 10.
Well, 7 if you if you.
No. I did
No.
5 and then.
Oh, I know, but the 6th, the real 6th event was doing getting up hungover for the jerk. That was the 6th event because you drank a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't make the final.
No.
Big shout out to Rain O'Neill for winning the whole goddamn thing.
I mean, this would be the perfect time for that sound for who the fuck is that guy?
Who the fuck is Rain O'Neill?
He did real good.
Matt Rhodes in Russia is like, I fucking told you.
I told you.
I told you.
Oh.
Matt Rhodes is excited. No, Rain O'Neill, awesome dude. Very nice, very humble, very unimposing. Just a guy.
Just kind of a dude being a guy out there.
Yeah. He, him and his coach said it was a great draw of events.
And they were right.
And he did them to the best of his ability. Like there was no mistakes in Reno's game the whole weekend.
I didn't see any slip-ups.
The only thing he did that was stupid was on his second barbell clean, the mats got fucked up. And he took like 10 seconds to
readjust,
fix the mats, and then clean the barbell.
Well, I think that's.
But then he failed the press, so it doesn't even matter. But
that's an event that he wasn't going to do good anyway.
No, that was damage control. And if damage control is still getting like second in your group on that event,
thanks for all the help, fellas. Thanks, Shane, our friend.
So what happened in the groups? I went out first on the loading medley with Shane Flowers, which honestly I was actually excited about. Because honestly, anyone in my group would have been a great pace rabbit. Like, I needed to go faster than I wanted to. I beat Shane to the truck on the first bag.
Bro, you were hot fire for 30 seconds.
I beat him to the truck on the second bag, and then we fell behind.
You know what's funny? As those 2 bags were going, Shane Reese, Shane's coach, was right next to me. And I could feel their nerves building as the fat guy's beating their very athletic guy. And then I see their excitement build as you start to jog to the third bag.
I started jogging. I was like, oh no, we're petering out. No. So I'm not slow, but I couldn't sustain it as long as I needed to. We made the choice to shoulder the third bag because we getting sick and all the things that happened. I thought my lungs would be the limiting factor, and they were. Shouldering slowed me down slightly, but it saved my lungs for the final carry. But yeah,
But you finished 4 in 48.09 seconds.
Which was pretty good, honestly.
Great for 1 point in our group.
1 point. But
sick.
In other groups, I would have scored as many
as
3 points.
Yeah.
Only 2 guys over 350 pounds in the whole show beat me. I thought it was 1, it was 2.
Who was the other one?
Eddie Williams.
You let Eddie Williams.
That's
Williams?
Fair. He finished in 43. He was
that's
fast.
pretty good.
And then Tom Stoltman, obviously.
Yeah.
But the 2 guys of the big boys, got third, which doesn't matter, doesn't mean anything. But no, it's just honest feedback. I just need to get the motor better.
Yeah.
Because I'm fast enough. My transitions are great.
Yeah. Technique was
skill wise is good. Picks were pretty much perfect. Yeah. So second event. What was the second event?
Deadlifts.
Yeah.
7 reps.
7 reps.
That was a mistake.
Needed 8.
Needed 8.
There was a weird snafu with what's strange with Worlds is because it's made for TV is it's like the flow of like you're going up the ramp, you're going to the platform, competitor ready, set, go is not the same as normal shows. And they didn't like clarify what was going to occur on each event.
Yeah, I think people just need to understand because anyone that's going to watch the show is going to watch the edited, the production. Yeah. It's not a strongman contest. You're just on a set. You're on a television set, and there's no real guidance on like, okay, when this timer goes, you have 3 seconds or whatever. Just athletes just kind of get up there and look around and try to get ready, but then they'll get like mentally ready, and then they got to wait another 10. Like nothing is consistent.
You'll get up there, and you'll be like, okay, it's go time, and then you notice that the Steadicam is still next to you, and they're like, for the 3rd time since you've been on the floor, Lucas Haddon representing America, and then they go to the other guy, and then some arbitrary period of time happens,
right.
And then Darren's like, on the whistle,
right,
I was like,
wait, what the fuck?
I guess we're going now.
Yeah.
Which was fine on all the events except Deadlift, where I went out alone, and the box was a little irregular. Strapping in and getting into the position was hard.
Yeah.
I strapped. Like I sat out there for a while.
Yeah, you strapped in.
Strapped in.
Yeah, you stood there awkwardly.
Yeah.
Right. You strapped in, and it was like 10 seconds or so go by, and then you just look up like, what's going on?
One step back, and I looked up. I was like, who is calling me?
Yeah.
And
then they're like, get ready.
Get ready.
What the fuck?
Yeah, but like before I strapped in, I'm standing there for a while, and I'm like, and both judges Magnus and Darren are just staring at me.
Not saying words.
I was like,
thanks for the help, guys.
Yeah, like you should get out on the floor, and Magnus should walk up to you, or both guys if it's two guys, and just like, hey, after intros,
yeah,
I'm going to say strap in,
they're doing
take your position,
whatever.
Better ready, set, go. Like,
and it was all because of the cameras. What they were doing.
But there's no reason they can't do that with the cameras.
Well, I agree. I personally agree. But what they're doing is they're doing like this pan out thing for every time, but they don't tell you that's what's happening. So it just feels like an awkward mess.
All said and done, it's probably going to be like that next year. Yeah. It's a good learning experience. I need to just know that I understand the pacing of worlds. A lot of the guys said the pacing's weird.
Well, you know what's interesting? Last year at Myrtle Beach when I was coaching Kevin, it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
It was, once they told you were out there, the athletes, it was more similar to a regular contest.
Yeah.
So this, even for me, my second time coaching Worlds, I was like, this is fucking different. But I guess this is the extreme.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, on the deadlift, I didn't execute. It was strange. I was still fighting my lungs, and I don't want to just blame that on being sick.
Yeah.
Because being sick didn't help, but also I didn't have the motor to do it. It's weird on a 770 deadlift for reps that the reason I was struggling is I couldn't breathe, not because I couldn't deadlift.
Yeah, when I was watching you do it, I was just like, he's thinking. I could see it.
It's
like
slow. It was very slow.
I could see that you were thinking, and you were like, there were certain times where you were like trying to position a certain way once it came back down.
Yeah.
And I was like, you had all the power for 8, but it just, the timing was off.
I'm not a person who typically does the breathe at the top, control the eccentric.
Yeah.
Which most people who are good in a suit recommend that.
Yeah.
A lot of how I pull slack has to do with, I go high hips, breath, dropping my hips is very much part of how I create power. I need to learn how to control the eccentric, not just because of the suit.
It's because of the apparatus.
The apparatus bounces
all over the freaking place.
Yeah, so I don't control the eccentrics. I would land and it would bounce 3 inches to the left,
I think
forward.
That's the real reason guys do it. At least on Worlds equipment. Or
just there's certain fixed barbells that will happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the guys said that happens on the Giants Live setup too.
The
fixed axle.
Yeah, I think it was Eddie or something. He said it interacts the same way.
If you don't control the eccentric, it's just going to bounce around.
Yeah.
And a couple of my reps were harder than they needed to be because I picked it from 3 inches in front of me or to the left.
Right.
Because in a suit, you can't just walk around. No. So.
And you're on this box too.
Yeah. And a lot of the guys said the box felt like we were much lower than a 9-inch deadlift.
Yeah. Tom came in the back. He was just like, that was a deficit, boys.
Well, there was dudes that like are really good at deadlift, but like there was this crazy line at 7 reps.
Yeah.
Like Hooper stalled at 7. He failed his 8th. Legit failed his 8th.
He failed 8th. Tom got 7. You got 7.
I got 7. Andrade was at 5.
5.
Yeah.
Shane Flowers, who I thought was going to win the deadlift in the groups, got 6.
Yeah. But there's a weird wall at 7. 2 guys, Patty and Reno, got 8.
Patty, Reno.
And then Trey got 10, like a lunatic.
And he failed 11.
He
went for 11.
He went for 11, yeah. And that he didn't do in a suit. He did the final in the suit. There's some confusion about that. Everyone on the internet's like, Trey wore a suit, Trey didn't wear a suit.
And there might be something to that.
Yeah.
Just being more comfortable.
Yeah.
If you know you have the power, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because honestly, I've pulled 7 at 770 before, raw, and it was,
your 7 raw was harder. Granted, you're way stronger now, so it's hard to compare.
You can't compare the two. They're 18 months apart.
Yeah.
But my back was fine after doing that set, but it just was, in the moment, infinitely harder in a suit.
Yeah.
So then we moved on to the press medley.
Yep.
Which honestly, not proud of my performance at all.
I'm not either.
I didn't finish the axle. I didn't need to, but I didn't know that I didn't need to. But I was fighting my lungs.
Yeah.
And as soon as I cleaned that axle, it knocked the wind out of me. It was too low. It knocked the wind out of me, and I just bailed on it.
Yeah, I was hoping that you'd do another bump. But you were just so gassed.
I was just too gassed. I was just fighting my lungs on every event.
You did. What'd you do here? You did 6 in 47 for 4-1.
Yes, which I didn't respect those barbells enough. Those barbells were challenging.
Bouncy as hell.
They were a slightly thicker barbell, and they also didn't rotate very well. The axle rotated. It wasn't fixed.
Well, it was fixed.
It was fixed for 1 or 2 heats, and then they loosened it.
Yeah, they really screwed a couple of guys. One was fixed, one was not, and then they changed it, and those guys didn't.
That was the only like technical oopsie of the whole show. Is I think.
Yeah, there was another.
Was there?
In terms of changing rules in the moment, we'll get to that.
Oh, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
So I got 5 points out of that event.
Yeah.
I needed some help from Mateus, and that was the theme of my weekend. Is like I needed Mateus.
Yeah, weird.
But I also needed to do better than I did. But by the game plan, I needed to get anything I was going to beat the skinny boys at. I needed Mateus in between us, and he just had a rough weekend, so I had no help.
Yeah.
And you know, Evans Nana stayed in the hunt the whole goddamn time, so just no free points anywhere.
No. Turns out it was a hard group.
It was a really hard group, and that can happen.
Titans toss is nice.
Titans toss. Honestly, the only event where I'm like, I did perfect.
It was great.
I did awesome.
Yeah, it was great. You got to hit a PR.
I hit a PR.
8 bags, 44 seconds.
Yes, and by the original specs of the event. So for anyone who didn't know, the original specs was 2 bags at 6, 2 bags at 7, 2 bags at 8, 2 bags at 9, 2 bags at 10. So the final bags were at 10 meters.
Yeah.
This was 7, 8, 9, 10, 2 at each, and then 1 bag at 11, 1 bag at 12. So
thanks, Tim
I
Buck.
finished the 2 bags at 10, which I thought there was not a chance I was going to do that in training. I did that with the standard technique.
Yep.
I just missed the 11th and the 12th.
Yeah.
And honestly, most of the field did 8 or less bags.
Mm-hmm.
All 25 guys.
Yeah.
I just did it slightly slower than a lot of the guys that got 8. But for those of you guys who didn't know, we planned on doing a discus throw. Which
was amazing because you were hitting like 12, 13 meters at home.
Easy.
Like smoking it. And then this is the part that gets me angry. As you're on the line with who's competing with you? It was Rain. Who was Reno?
Reno. Me and Reno.
You and Reno
it was after
the
press.
It's after the press. You and Reno were out there. Literally, they're getting ready to say on the whistle. Colin Bryce runs up on the stage and darts right to you.
He goes to Darren.
He goes to Darren, and Darren darts to you and says, "You can't spin.
If you plan on spinning, you can't do that.
So
you have to use 2 hands to throw."
Yeah, someone saw you warm up with the one time we did it in the warm-up area when we thought no one was around. It was probably an employee. And they changed the rules 3 seconds before the event.
Because it was one of those things where it's like, you know, if you don't ask in the rules, it's allowed.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
That's Strongman.
And, you know, Worlds very intentionally has a super fast, vague rules meeting.
So they could do stuff like that.
But
maybe. I don't know why.
No, well, it's like, but see, I'm just saying, if you're going to be that vague and that quick and that rushed over, you open yourself up to, it wasn't mentioned in the rules, it's legal.
Right.
If you do a Shaw style,
it's like an hour and a half long rules meeting.
You're not slipping anything in.
No.
But like, if you're going to go quick, you open up to like guys trying to game and be creative.
Yeah, how many rules have been made because of Novikov? Right?
Yeah, like, and I fully knew that if I did the discus throw, the next time this event came up, it was going to be illegal.
Yeah.
So I wholeheartely believe I would have won that event.
You would have won out of everybody.
Easily. Yeah. I mean, Boudreaux did 10 quickly.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Nice,
yeah.
Max. Nice.
Yeah, but I could have done 10 bags easy.
Yeah.
We hadn't missed in weeks. So at the end of the day, it would have just made me lose to Shane by a little less.
Yeah.
Stone medley. God damn it.
My L.
Yeah.
I had you use tactile. Well, by that point in the day, it should have been chalk because so many people had already touched it.
It was too hot for tactiles to be effective.
Yeah.
And I was like the 22nd guy to go.
Yeah. Because your heat was way later in the day on that event.
That was our event to go last.
Yeah.
And what needed to occur at that point, based on the points, is I needed to beat Shane and be one person between us, and then I would get into the final. And I went out before those guys.
Yeah. Had you gone,
Mateusz also just decided not to do the event.
Yeah, that didn't help.
He was potentially that guy.
Yeah. Had you gone earlier in the day, our plan would have been smart.
Yeah. All of those individual skills I'm very good at.
Yeah.
In training, even though I had, a couple bobbles with that particular stone to shoulder stone, I could do it. And but by the time I got out there's 22 guys worth of tack on the stone.
Tactile, yeah.
Yeah. And
it was slippy as hell.
Even on the stone press, it was like
you felt the
slick.
slip.
It was like a film, a goo on the stone, and I just couldn't do it.
Yeah,
I just couldn't do it.
Chalk was the move later in the day.
Yeah, and then as I was sitting out there fumbling, Shane and Reno switched to chalk.
Yep.
Shane did as much as he needed to do to make the final. Reno mogged the event.
Yep.
I don't think I could have done it fast enough to beat Reno,
No.
but I definitely could have finished it.
Yeah.
All of those skills I can do. But it's just an experience thing. Like, what's good is everything I messed up at Worlds, yes, I need to have the better motor and be better technique, or not, the better fitness.
Yeah.
But every event that I didn't, maybe left a point on the board, I understand how to use that specific equipment in that specific situation.
Yeah.
We've getting kind of spoiled with like implements.
Arena shows.
Implements we know, we have a lot of data on. Shit, we watch a lot of the Arnolds. We've seen how to do the Arnold equipment. And I think I just didn't respect the World's equipment enough.
It's unique.
It's all unique
It's
stuff.
very unique stuff.
And you need
heat and stones.
Heat and stones and how to use a suit. We don't have the experience in the suit. It's just, it's a good learning experience. Because, prior to the show, it was really easy for me to say, like, I'm one of the top 5 in the world. And I still think there's a good argument for that. But, like, if I'm going to say that, it doesn't matter
make it out of the heats.
Who's in my group or what events they are. Even if they're bad events for me, I should be able to at least get out of the groups. And I didn't do that. And that's just a lack of being prepared. Yeah. This is the first time we weren't prepared.
Yeah. First and ideally last.
Yeah. So, but what's kind of awesome about that, and I used to talk about this a lot, is I didn't win anything till Americas in a lot of my sports prior to Strongman. I got a lot of seconds, and I was really, really thankful for that because it made me good at learning. It made me good at, getting excited for the next thing. These last few shows, I think we've kind of considered the podium as a success. And I'm a little burnt out after shows, and I'm not excited to get back to training after shows. I really, really want to train really hard right now. Yeah. I'm super excited to get back to it because I'm just like, that can't happen again.
Yeah, and even for me, like from like a coach's perspective, I hated that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I hated that. Not because anything you did wrong, but just like I pride myself on bringing people to shows ready. Yeah. And that was the first time like, we weren't ready. And that makes me angry. And when I am in those moments, I'm like, okay, I will never let that happen again to anyone I'm coaching. And I just can't.
And I have a bunch of friends that are like, oh, you had a tough group or this.
Nah, fuck sick. The group. Who cares? The kid was doing this 5 times over. We should have made it through.
And it's like, yeah, it's just no. It's not that. It'd be different if like if one of two things happened. I beat myself or I got beat. I both beat myself and got beat. Yeah. On events. Those are two different things. They both happen at the same time. Yeah, like if both happen, you just lost.
Yeah, like if you hit a PR in every event, we didn't make it through. Fine. Oh, all right, cool. All right. Yeah, but that's not what happened.
Because you know what? Like, honestly, the one group, I think the Patty and Hooper group. Yeah. If I was in that group, I think I could have set PRs and not made it.
Could have been very possible.
They were very...
Those two were on board, on par. Or
yeah, Patty had a fantastic weekend. Yeah. And so did Hooper. Honestly, like even at Hooper looking more human than normal, he still had a super consistent weekend.
I mean, if you take 3rd at Worlds on a bad weekend, you're doing good.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah. So debriefing it all, like it was all right. I need to learn from it. I need to get better from it. Strongest Man on Earth is a little over 12 weeks out. Yep. I imagine that the roster, the rest of the roster is going to be announced very soon.
Yeah, I guess we probably shouldn't say who they were looking at.
No. Well, and also like, but my guesses would be, because Brian needs to get these invites out so that guys have time to prepare for the events. If we're tracking off previous years, he kind of finishes the roster post Worlds. So I think if I was a guy who made the final, I'd be on the lookout for that invite if it hasn't come already.
Yeah, they're looking for sturdy guys.
Yeah, and then it comes down to like some guys I think are going to say no for the first time. This will be the first year I think some guys will say no to Strongest Man on Earth, and then so there may be some guys who didn't make the final that are going to need to fill the roster. If I was on that selection committee, it's like, who can physically handle the show and not die?
That's really what's going to come down to.
So there's some, beefy boys that didn't make the final that I think are going to get that call up.
Yeah, like a Bryce Johnson maybe.
Because he would do great at that show. I mean, probably top 8.
Yeah, I think
probably top 8. So we'll see. I'm excited to see what comes out on those invites. And I know
Reno will go.
Reno's going to go.
Reno said he's going.
I'm excited to see it. And if we're tracking off the schedule of last year, this is about the time that Rogue Invitational invites came out too. They came out prior to SMOE because SMOE is too close to Rogue Invitational.
That's another thing that makes me upset about the weekend.
Because I did kind of shitty.
Well, if they don't invite you, I understand.
I do.
And that's what bothers me.
If I don't get invited to Rogue Invitational, what that means is I'm probably going to hard peak the shit out of America's Strongest Man. Or the week after is the log lift championships. I said no initially
Yeah.
because I assumed I was going to Rogue.
Yeah.
Why not?
Could be one of those two. You also
Could
might
go
be
to Magnus.
might also be a reserve.
Be a reserve.
So-
There's also the Magnus show. Could just be a fun weekend to take a vacation with everybody.
Mom's been wanting to go to Iceland.
My mom wants to go to Iceland. So if I don't get invited to the Rogue, the end of the year is wide open.
Yeah.
The main focus for the rest of the year is I must podium, potentially win Strongest Man on Earth.
Yeah.
And I need to win America's Strongest Man again.
Yeah.
And if Rogue Invitational invite comes,
cool. We'll go.
Event dependent. We'll see what happens. So, what else happened at
Any
Worlds?
standout performances for you that maybe
That
folks
were-
might have overlooked?
At Worlds?
Yeah.
I don't know, Braden, you got a lot of good clips. Anything that was pretty crazy?
Fun fact about Braden, the one person he didn't film on the Hercules hold was Eddie Williams.
Yeah. He had no idea that Eddie Williams was
fucking
good at Hercules
goofball.
hold.
First one to go up, second one.
Goofball.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you didn't get a lot of Patty clips.
No, he filmed Patty.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, people who don't know, Patty's what, 6'2",
Maybe 6'3".
maybe 6'3", only 120 kilo, right?
Yeah.
Small guy.
Patty is
Small in comparison to Spears.
I think Patty had the best weekend out of anybody. He
He did really good. He did
top
so
5 in
good.
the world.
Yeah.
Top 5 in the world.
Top 5 in the world, yeah.
In a
What's good about...
in a 2-press show, Patty was top 5 in the world.
What I really like about guys like Patty and Reno doing really well, and Shane Flowers as well, because they're similar archetypes in terms of build, all three of those guys. We're going to, ideally, I hope we see them at some of the other big four now, and it's good for new faces, because the Arnold, I love the Arnold, but it's a lot of the same faces.
Yeah.
I like this, bring in new crops, because we never really see UK guys, and I don't include the Stallmans in that, or I should say English guys, at Arnold.
Yeah,
We never
the only
see
ones
it.
that come over is the Stoltmans.
What was the last English athlete, not UK, English athlete at the Arnold? It might be Lawrence Charlet.
Did he come after Eddie?
I think it was right around the same
Eddie
time.
came once or twice.
Eddie did it once or twice. I know Lawrence did it once or twice.
Yeah,
Terry,
Eddie did it the year they did the documentary, and
Yeah.
he sucked.
yeah, he didn't have
Well,
the
he hurt
best year.
himself.
He hurt himself. He
He
set
hurt
the deadlift record though.
Yeah. So-
but it's cool to see just more,
Yeah.
more people.
Because you know what? At the end of the day, it was a lighter show. Yeah, it was a faster show. It was a track meet, whatever you want to say. 4 English athletes made the final.
Yep.
And they were good.
They didn't suck.
They didn't suck.
They didn't suck.
There was a couple barrel-chested Americans just wait for Strongest Man on Earth, motherfuckers.
there was a lot of big Americans sitting on the sidelines being like, I can't wait to see you in 12
we'll
weeks.
see you at a max log, nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you get excited when you hit 400 pounds.
Yeah.
Yes, 400 pounds, finally. It's like, good job, buddy.
That was the opener.
With my little head pat.
You're such an idiot. But they did good.
Yeah, so
No flowers taken away from them. They did
No,
good.
they kicked our ass. They did. They beat the shit out of the Americans.
Yep.
God damn it.
Yeah, it is
I'm
what
the
it
most
is.
pro-American.
Besides Trey. Trey, you kept it alive.
Trey kept it alive
Thank
for
you,
us.
Trey.
He plays fourth. Trey's plays fourth 3 times.
Is it 3 or 2?
3.
It's 3? Oof. I know Max put him in fourth once. Now Mitch did. Who's the other? I don't remember.
Somebody, I think it was Chad said that Trey's gotten it 3 times.
Okay. It's 2 or 3.
It's 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I'd have to double check, but I know for sure 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Trey, is it 3? Alice is
You know,
signaling 3.
you remember the other year? What year was? Yeah.
So yeah, Chad was saying it. So, I guess I should address the jerk because the internet's stupid.
Oh, yeah.
The internet's really stupid.
They're so stupid. 2021, 2023, 2025. Okay.
Well, it's so funny because there's even talking heads of strongman, fucking Lawless brothers, whatever.
Hey, Wallace, you keep talking shit, man. You might not be our favorite anymore.
Yeah.
All right? Looking at you right
Lawless
now, bud.
was
I need you to relax.
one of my favorite strongmen.
All 5'10" of you needs to chill.
Yeah.
Bro.
You guys have a lot of opinions for not being there or
Yeah.
knowing what happened.
Yeah, bro.
Love you guys, but
We do love you, but shut up.
no, they're like, Trey didn't wear a suit. I'm like, you literally weren't there. Trey was in a suit.
Trey was in a suit.
If you're going to report
For
on
the
something,
18-inch.
if you're going to report on something, ask questions and be there.
Yeah.
So, and they're like, I don't think it counts as a record. I'm like, also, I don't give a shit about that record.
It's a cool lift, broham.
Yeah. So, and then people are like, why did he get to do a finals event? He didn't make the finals.
Why did Mark Felix get to do it? Because
Also,
it's cool.
Guys, I wholeheartedly thought my weekend was done. I went out drinking. I showed up to the show on day 3. Colin Bryce comes up to me and he's like, hey, a couple of the guys were like, it'd be cool if you did the jerk.
The athletes asked.
And then Colin asked all the athletes and they're like, yeah, that'd be cool. And then Colin was like, okay, IMG doesn't want to film it for TV.
Sure.
It'll just be for the live crowd. because a couple hundred people spent at least $1,000 to come
sit out in the sun all day with no shade.
Yeah. Like, and he's like, no pressure at all. If you don't feel good, don't do it. Like,
Yeah, he's
very
reasonable.
accommodating.
Very
accommodating.
Very reasonable. And he set you up too, like, just in case it doesn't happen, we'll just say we asked you last minute. Like, he was great.
And he's like, if your warm-ups feel bad, just don't do it.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is literally for fun, for the crowd.
Yeah.
There's no money. There's no incentive. It's just if you want to do it.
Sometimes you got to do stuff for the love of the game.
I literally just wanted to do it for the love of the game. Yeah. And like, it was just for fun. Do I care about the world's strongest man Flintstone barbell record? No, because 20 real weightlifters have clean and jerked more than 556.
Yeah.
Because who cares, right?
Yeah.
It's just for giggles. It's just for fun. If I would have pressed the 611, which I just didn't execute, okay, yeah, heaviest press ever in competition. And then people,
and every press ever in the history of the world.
I know, but people would whine about, does it count? Who cares?
Yeah, dude.
It's just for giggles, dude.
The dorks on the internet, man.
I know. Like, shut up. Like, that's the thing. Like, we don't do enough things. Like, the spirit of strongman, like, sometimes it's like, I want to lift that rock because it's hard and it's fun. And no one ever has.
Learn something, too, about that bar. It's a weird bar.
It's a weird bar. It's a fixed bar.
The weights are not centered at all.
No, it's a goofy bar. It took me about 8 attempts to figure it out. I literally didn't have a good lift until 507.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't know why the internet's so weird. It's literally just for fun. If you don't want to say that I have the Flintstone barbell record,
okay,
I will lose no sleep. I didn't give a shit about that record beforehand. I still don't, because it's not real. There's like 5 impactful records in Strongman.
That's not one of them.
It's not one of them.
It's a cool lift.
It's like log, axle, dumbbell, deadlift.
Yeah, there you go.
Max stone.
Sure, yeah, Max stone.
Yeah, that's it. Everything else doesn't matter. I don't know. Any other thoughts on Worlds?
No, it was interesting. I had a really fun conversation with Colin Bryce just about the setup of the show, because I came to him at one point. I was like, "So, this contract's coming up, this TV deal. What's up with the heats? How do you feel about it?" Because you know how I am. And he's like, he told me what he would describe what would be his favorite thing, and he's talked about this publicly before, so I don't mind sharing what he said. But basically, he's like, I would love like a heats into a semifinals into a finals. Like, he wants like a 3-stage.
Sure.
So
maybe
process
25 guys to 15 guys to maybe 8 or
and
something.
The way that he described it was, well, I love watching, European football, and that's how some of the major leagues do it, right? And he kind of models it after that. He's like, he loves the idea of the drama building and the story and finding that. Like, that's it's very obviously his focus.
And he still wants to have episodes.
Right.
Which is traditional strongman show. It's hard. It is a fair critique to say it's hard to make episodes.
Sure. Yeah, he's not like, and I don't say this in a bad way. It just is what it is. I think he's less focused on this being a true sport. Like, you know what I mean when I say that? Like, it's like a tried and true pure sport. Like for example, I think Shaw is trying to make a pure sport.
Sure.
Rogue is in that direction as well, right? He wants to build a story. And these processes, if you will, for athletes to advance, which is just his style, and like it works really well for giants, and it's cool. It's just his style. So I had a long talk with him about that, because I was just curious where his mind was.
Well, but building up these stories generates a lot of income.
Yeah, it's
like
ad time, baby.
Yeah. Well, and then like people that hate money, or like anyone who tries to make money is a piece of shit.
Right.
It's like when strongman makes money, the athletes make money.
Yeah,
staff make money. Jobs are made.
Yeah, it's just a different perspective. Like, I'm very much a purist of, like, I enjoy the sport. It doesn't mean Colin's wrong for his perspective at all. It's a system that he knows, and it obviously works. It carried the sport when it didn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Like, try to say it didn't work.
How many, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars and maybe millions have been generated because they built this story around a 500-kilo deadlift.
Or something.
Eddie, or,
like,
or the Iron Bibby at the log lift being the best presser ever. Like, these stories that they create. It sells tickets, it gets eyes on people, and most of the normies, if you just go to Costco and talk to somebody, they know about those guys.
Yeah, and
they don't know who the hell Hooper is. They don't know who I am.
No, it might not be my favorite approach, but I understand it more now after talking to him. I might not still like it as much, but I get what he's doing to generate views.
Yeah,
because it's important.
I need to kind of eat crow a little bit and like swallow we've been critical of giants and worlds, and as a lot of people are, because we're just commentating on what we see.
Yeah.
I think I've been a little too critical of a guy I didn't actually know.
Which one?
Colin.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah. I think I had a lot of great interactions with Colin. I still really haven't spoken to Darren almost at all.
He's very quiet.
Yeah, he's just a judge.
He's also working.
He was working and he's a judge, and that should be separate from everyone.
Yeah.
Colin is more of the face of the organization, and pretty cool guy after the weekend.
Yeah, I like Colin.
I just didn't, and I understand. We've had a couple negative interactions in the past, but I think I understand where he's coming from. Talking to him.
I don't care what anyone says because you'll hear chatter on the internet like, oh, the guys don't really care about the sport, whatever. Colin loves Strongman.
He loves Strongman.
He really loves Strongman. He just views it from a different lens.
Yeah.
And the lens in which he views it and works it has, I don't care what anyone says, for a very long time carried the entirety of the sport.
Yeah.
Like there wouldn't be Strongman the way that we know it, including the things that we love, without Colin.
When people know Giants Live that makes money, they know Worlds that makes money, they know what it is now.
Yeah.
You forget that like Giants Live used to be behind Bike Rack at an expo, and I guarantee Colin spent all the money he had at one
Darren,
point, to make it happen.
Yeah,
they're just so far past the we're making it happen stage.
Right.
They're like, oh, they're established, successful, whatever. Once upon a time, they got as close to going bankrupt as you can.
Well, they did. People forget. Go back even earlier. The Super Series.
Yeah.
That was owned by Colin and Odhaugen. It went bankrupt because Colin was pushing the sport so hard. He had the balls to rent out Madison Square Garden. Was a mistake, but he did it.
Sure.
Because he was hoping, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Once upon a time, these guys laid it all on the line.
Yeah.
And I bet there's still days where they are still doing that.
I talked to him about that in that conversation. And he goes, yeah, he's like, honestly, Giants Live is not like this crazy money machine. Like, we're still fairly tight, but we're able to do it bigger and better because we're very, very particular.
Yeah, they created a model. They created a model, and they keep getting better at it.
Yeah, so that was cool. It was good to have that perspective because for the longest time, I'm like, my man, like just make it more of a traditional sport. He's like, well, I like that. However, these are the factors that I have to take into consideration. So it's like, okay, cool, makes sense.
Yeah. There's always more to stuff.
Usually.
All right, I think we're wrapped. Good.
World was fun.